Hello everyone, welcome. Today I'm going to talk about my predictions for the next 100 years or so. So without further ado, let's talk about it. I believe there will be an everything bubble sooner or later. I predict that it will burst next year or in 2 years from now, as it coincides with the 18-year real estate cycle, which is a simultaneous crisis that have been observed brewing in the background, commonly called as well as a polycrisis. I think it will burst in 2 years. I believe this situation will culminate with the end of the 18-year real estate cycle. Housing prices have been increasing globally, more sharply in certain cities, and I predict the peak will occur around 2026 or 2027. This will be followed by 4 years of hardship, during which we will likely enter a recession. House prices will fall as purchasing power and market confidence decrease. However, there will be a sharp recovery and a rebound around 2030 or 2032. This situation will be similar to the last crisis, the subprime crisis, when houses became very cheap between 2010 and 2015. I don't know if some of you remember. At that time, those who had purchasing power were able to make good deals. I recall that in 2010 and 2011, the price of gold rose sharply and was frequently discussed in the media, in news channels. It was common to see public advertisement as well from companies buying gold in the streets, in the shopping mall. At that time, the formation of a peak was very noticeable, and I think this is happening again. The gold price recently rose very sharply, and everyone is talking about it in the news media and in the public area and in the streets. The price of gold has risen, and there are many posters that we can see along the streets announcing the purchase of gold, just as 15 years ago. And this suggests that a change or financial rebalancing might be imminent. I think that in around 2030 or 2032, following the crash and subsequent recovery, we will witness some adoption of cryptocurrencies and an attempt to create a new standard. The United States will want to pioneer this process, and until then, they will print a significant amount of currency, causing inflation, and they will buy a lot of Bitcoin and gold to try to maintain the value of their currency. But it will be increasingly substituted with the digital stablecoin. So this strategy could serve the purpose of positioning themselves in the global market and maintaining the dollar as a global currency. The digital stablecoin dollar, for instance, which will function almost like a new store of value because it's backed by Bitcoin. Starting in around 2032, artificial intelligence will permeate every aspect of our lives, from business to home entertainment. Because of this, there will be a crisis of the film and television industry. This will be an entertainment crisis because each person will be distracted by their own expressions of imagination. Each individual will create their own entertainment scenery, environment, whatever, powered by generative artificial intelligence. Of course, niches will emerge where people exchange their imaginations, as being imagination a more optimized form of communication. Instead of being only words, you can transmit your imagination, your thought, so to speak. But this will be only a niche, because each each one of us will be more isolated, less social, creating kind of like a bubble, because all needs of novelty will be met by only creating that what we want, so to speak, and we will emerge in our own deeper being and psyche just because we can, and we are not so much interested by other means or forms of imagination. Around 2038 or 2040, humanoid robots will be massive. They will be everywhere. Universal basic income will be implemented slowly across various nations, corresponding to the increasing adoption of automation. Humanoid robots will become a new trend in domestic consumption and will be seen as essential items, much like household appliances. For some, they will be only appliances. For others, they will serve as a loving or romantic companion, a confidant. The relationship with them will be as close as the ones we have with our smartphones, but they will be devices with arms and legs that execute actions. That's the main difference, of course. And the line dividing a human being from a humanoid robot will become increasingly more subtle. Laws will emerge to protect humanoid robots. Initially, these laws will arise because disrespect for the anthropomorphic human form could lead people to develop pathological behaviors towards other human beings. Mistreating a humanoid robot that resembles a human psychologically affects the person, potentially leading to this harmful behavior to other human beings. The concern is similar to the ones that arose about violent and realistic computer graphics and games. It's only a 2D, two-dimensional image in a screen, right? But when you have a robot and it's an item and it's three-dimensional and it makes a part of your life, it's similar as a pet. And it is proven that mistreating domestic animals increases the likelihood of a child or a teenager becoming violent towards other people. And this similarly can be applied to humanoid robots. The relationship with robots will vary. For some, they will be just appliances. For others, they will be a companion or a lover. And for others, yet, they will be viewed just as slaves. And this will establish a new kind of relationship, that is the master-slave relationship. And thus, it will emerge a new class, a social class. So, due to this relationship of servitude with humanoid robots, society will, over time, develop a techno-feudal capitalism. Alternatively, or in competition with this, other nations will adopt for a technocratic communism system, and these dynamics will resemble that of ancient Rome, where 2/3 of people of the population were citizens and 1/3 were slaves. Humanoid robots acting as a new social class will permeate society and work for us, just like slaves in ancient Rome. This dynamic raises the question, that is, what will citizens do when all work is done? In ancient Rome, citizens had their personal slaves. Women engaged in conversations and performed less tough tasks, so to speak. Men, after going to war, participated in forums and debated politics to discuss the nation's future and past and what is supposed to happen from now on, and also discussed philosophy, the purpose of the human being, what is the sense and purpose of the human being. So I believe we will do the same because we will have a lot of time in our hands. However, a large part of society will limit itself to seek entertainment and dopamine release without any further or deeper reason. Around 2045, there will be a constant global conflict over natural resources. These resources will be the main reason for disputes, especially regarding drinking water. Also, developed countries will not be greatly troubled by these conflicts because their troops will primarily consist of drones and humanoid robots fighting real humans in economically and technologically disadvantaged areas and nations. So the low birth rate will cause the social system to collapse, as there will be no useful workforce to labor and contribute for the social system. The social system functions like a pyramid scheme, although it is useful in trying to divide wealth more evenly. And if the workforce fails, it becomes difficult to sustain social security. And around 2060, society will manifest collectively as a superego. Drawing on Freud's theory, the individual psyche is composed by three parts: the ego, the identity we assume; the superego, the adherence to social rules that limit us; and the id, that is represented by instincts, impulses, traumas, and stuff like that. So I believe that society in 2060 or around 2060 will be dominated by the superego because there will be few children. And one might say, what has one thing to do with another? Children are the expression of the id in this collective society, in this collective point of view, as they represent instinct, everything that is not yet conditioned by social and cultural rules. The balanced manifestation of the ego, superego, and id would be the healthiest state. But the lack of id manifestation, that is, children, will result in a highly constrained and bounded and normalized society because of social rules manifesting through the superego. This society will become excessively bureaucratic, may lead to a collapse of civilization under the weight of its own bureaucracy. By 2060, there will be many elderly people and few young people. Society will be highly automated and regulated, reflecting the future state of human existence in that decade. Around 2070, genetic experiments will occur to change the nature of human beings. This will include the use of CRISPR technology or genetically altered humans, adding details such as perhaps changing the skin color. This will become a new trend or fashion, similar to tattoos or piercings, starting with medical applications, but evolving into other forms of human modifications. And why does this appear? Because of elderly people, the aging of the population, and also because of the very low fertility rates. So around 2080, the first human clones will be a thing, and raises many philosophical questions about consciousness and the simultaneity of multiple consciousness. Near 2100, human reproduction will be both sexual and asexual. There will be a niche of conservative people who prefer the traditional family, like man, woman, having children naturally. However, there will be a diversity in human reproduction, with many adopting asexual reproduction through cloning and even maybe other artificial means. So this prediction covers the period up to 2100 or to 2125. I do not advocate that these scenarios should happen, and I acknowledge that while some aspects may be positive, others are not very much appealing for a lot of people. Neither to me, to be honest. It's not my preference, but I think I can see this happening with what we are witnessing nowadays in our present time. So, but it is fun to speculate, I think, and I don't want this to be a reason to cause anxiety in people. So I think it is necessary, yes, to have resilience and openness to accept the reality that may become true. Thank you for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments if you think I am wrong, or would you add some other major prediction? I would love to hear. Goodbye and until next time.